Hi guys, it's me, Mike. I got a green screen today, which is pretty cool. Well, I've had it for ages, but decided to use it today for this. I'm going to be doing some more Bru Boegie. Let's hope it works well. This is a shot that I've already done a little bit with, but definitely need some in-betweens. Let me see if I play it.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and whoever.
Hi, everybody. This is Bru and Boegie.
Boegie.
Okay, Boegie. Well, they've designed our new billboard, and they'd like to present it to you. Isn't that right, boys?
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and whoever. I worked really hard.
So I think I'm going to start doing in-betweens for some of Bru's motion. I've done some key poses, yeah.
Afternoon, gentlemen, and whoever.
So let me do the breakdown poses, some of them at least. Let's delete that frame. Just want to make sure my screen, there you go, my keyboard strokes are showing up. So now we're going to go to the drawing view here and turn onion skinning on. Drawing view is just really good for like isolating the background, and without any pegs put on stuff, it just focuses on the drawing just to help you isolate only that, so there's less clutter. So I'm going to take some of the onion skinning off for the left and the right. So as you can see, I've only got two onion skinning frames enabled, one before and one after. And I'm just using a normal style onion skinning. Here you can use different kinds. Enable shade, which will give you a green and a red one for previous and next. Because I'm colorblind, it doesn't really help my case to have the red and the green. It kind of startles me a bit. So I've got a number 7 brush, and I'm just going to check quickly that this is actually working. Looks like it's working fine. Cool. So now we can do a little in-between drawing for that. And as I've explained before, I just really like keeping it pretty loose. With this, I don't do, I'm not doing a rough pass first. I'm drawing on the line layer, by the way. It's just faster. It's a project for fun. So nice to keep it loose. I've been thinking of doing a Toon Boom tutorial series from start to finish, which I guess this was kind of supposed to be, but I feel this is pretty disparate. It's not hell of a focused in terms of showing the process from start to finish. And then I'm just going to like make that on 3s.
Gentlemen, and
Yeah. So I've just pressed delete there. let's do another breakdown pose from going from here to here. And let's give him a bit of an arc on his head. I'm leaving the mouth out because I'm going to animate that on a separate layer once the main body movements are done. This is probably going to need 2 breakdown poses, or at least the in-between between that and that, to get it looking better. And doing things this kind of way, rough, or at least just straight into to move off, I find I can get quite, experiment with new stuff, and once it's committed to pen, it's done. I guess you might call it straight ahead animation. It's a bit of a combination. I have set out some of the key poses, and what I want to do here is enable the light table. Sorry, enable it like that, just so I can see the top of this actual table, which is there, because instead of using masking to cut off Bru's legs, afterwards I'm just drawing the line there, so I don't have to do that later. Did I do it on this one? No. So I'm just kind of doing it piece by piece. I try to figure out where his one hand is, and then I'll do that bit. So press delete. Let's do another drawing now. Animation is not really a spectator sport so much. I mean, maybe it should be, that'd be cool. Like animators verse each other with the crowd. So you can animate the fastest or the best. I would probably watch that actually. Like X Factor, but for animators. I can program my Cintiq Express keys to do shortcuts for back and back and forward, but I like leaning on my other arm, so it's just my one arm that's free. Cool, so that's working well. I just click and drag that back to do the spacings. Let's see how it's looking. Cool. For this one, I'm gonna make his head like flip up back when he curls up. Just make it like a really weird in between. Yeah, I was thinking about, it's gonna look very weird. Cool. I was thinking about this short has taken me flipping ages to make, and I've been listening to these audiobooks on business and finance, And as a short-term thing, this Bru Boegie is not so great. I mean, I love the characters and but you know it takes a long time to put together, and the immediate yields, you know, don't earn me a lot of bucks. They might earn some street cred, which is cool, and is kind of why I do it. And the long-term view is that it might turn into something. You know, apparently most businesses fail in the first few years. I've been doing Bru Boegie since 2002. It's a long time. Jeez, is it that long? 2002? I've totally forgotten where we are now. My brain's failing to engage. So, 16 years, can it be that long? Yo, hectic. 16 years. So I am kind of trusting that it just kind of will work out one way or another. But what I'm getting at is I'm not expecting this thing to magically work out. But what I'm saying in terms of spending time on, you know, I haven't got a hell of a lot of time left. Time goes so quick. 10 years just goes in the blink of an eye. So, you know, financially it might make more sense to work on like 8-bit videos, which I still want to do. They seem to earn, like I've got one 8-bit video on my YouTube channel. That's a Pac-Man remix that earns probably 96% of my revenue on YouTube. It's got a couple million views. Bru Boegie's the Feeling It video is the one that's earning the second most, which is cool. But I've got this romantic view about Bru Boegie. They are hard sells. There's two bald guys that frankly look too similar, and you know, it's one of the first things you do when you're making two characters generally is to create contrast and make them look different from one another, because sometimes people don't even know the difference between who's Bru and who's Boegie. I feel like I'm sometimes the only one that knows the difference. So besides all of that, I think I like the challenge as well of trying to figure out how I can get this to work kind of commercially. There must be a way. And they are fun. Unfortunately, animation does just take a while. So this needs some more in-betweening here. And by the way, for animation, you can never blame the audience if something's not working. You only got yourself to blame. At least I only got myself to blame. But yeah, the two books I listened to were Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I remember one of my buddies from school reading it, and it's a weird title. The guy never had a rich dad, I believe. It's just a myth. But still, interesting stories. Just challenging traditionally held beliefs, which is kind of shook me up a bit because I just thought, oh, well, if I just keep plugging Bru Boegie, something will work sooner or later. And part of me still believes it, but business-wise, it might be on paper it doesn't really work. Maybe, who knows? Something to be said for perseverance, but you know, if I was starting out fresh, I might look at something that's more commercially viable. Part of also the reason why I like Bru Boegie is because it's just, you know, it is problematic, potentially problematic. Two dudes in their underpants, one's white and one's black, and they got like these lips that I like drawing. They're like Nick Park's lips, how he designed Wallace and Gromit and other characters. You've seen there's actually a lot of cartoon characters that have these lips, but coming from South Africa, there's strange racial implications. So anyway, that's seeing it. There's a few people that have complained, but a lot of people love Bru Boegie, and I think I've got to be careful to not fall into the trap of only focusing on the problem areas, because I think once I crack the characters of Bru Boegie, and I think there's a way. I think I'm just not quite cracking them yet, but the more I draw or the more I animate these things, I'm seeing that Bru is more of just like a tone-deaf mullet. He's a bit like, you know, Bru Boegie. They're two different parts of me. He's very obstinate and believes that his ideas will always work out. Sometimes they do. Let's see how that's. Needs a bit of a cushion into that last pose. And then Boegie is very sensitive soul, who is has a lot more kop, which is just common sense, and those two characters kind of play quite well together. Boegie's like, Bru, that's a really bad idea. Bru's like, I know it'll work, Boegie. But that kind of energy of let's just do it anyway, a lot of the time it does actually work. And you can also be too cautious and then never get anything done. So I think that's pretty much who Bru Boegie are. It's kind of one is cautious and but might actually not get stuff done, and the other is just does. Sometimes one approach works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the other approach works.
I worked really hard.
Put it in between here. This short is turning out to be long. It's like 5 minutes. So really what I wanted to do is do like 30-second shorts. So I can put them on Instagram and do quite a few of them. This is like, I don't know how it got to be so long. Something called scope creep. What am I doing here? Instead of, excuse me. Does it look like a straight in between? Yeah, I was gonna make him duck first, but let's just do a straight one. And then I got a really nice tip from Phil Rinder in Annecy, who is just a general legend, but also was lead character designer on Adventure Time, season 1 to 3, I think. Been involved in a stack of cool shows. It was at Nickelodeon and it's now at Netflix. They're gonna do such cool stuff. And he was saying, you can imagine Bru Boegie if they they do argue and they are different. But then if they're arguing and someone else came and it's like, hey, yeah, do what Boegie says, they'd both be like, hey, get out the way. We're like besties. They still are, they're still best friends, but they'd back each other 100%. But when they're just by themselves and they argue amongst each other, which I really like that dynamic, which I want to incorporate into a short. So what I could have done here for this shot is, Bru's pitching his idea, which is really, we don't know what it is yet. And in the beginning, Boegie's like, no, Bru, that's a really bad idea. And Bru's like, I'm the best, I know what I'm doing. And then when they pitch it and the boss is like, I don't like that, Boegie's like, hey, Bru worked really hard on this idea, you better accept it. And the boss is like, oh, okay. So I think that'll be endear and the audience to the characters more. Let's see how that's working.
I worked really.
Pretty basic. I want just to see how this works. If I have it like Bru really jams his hand in his pants, because he's saying I worked really hard on this. Well, his head will come down a bit. His arm's gonna be okay. I mean, I think Bru Boegie actually really is very funny. It's two dudes who walk around in underpants, no matter what the weather is. Legends. I would be friends with them. They just live by their own rules. Turn the light table on.
I worked really hard.
So what's going to have to happen here is we've got to hold a bit longer on that. Let's put another in between here just to get the anticipation of his arm about to go in. And for that I'm going to turn off this next onion skin because it's getting a bit busy there. His head's just going to come up. And his arm, his hand's kind of aiming now. also have to put another drawing to cushion it once he's done the action. And let's have one more frame coming up here. I'm putting a lot of these drawings on 2s. Now we can re-enable the onion skin for the next frame. Just a drawing getting into position here. There's the postcard, the back of the postcard that he's drawn on earlier. Let's see now.
I worked really hard on this.
Nice.
He
should actually, I feel like he needs to hold his hand up there a bit longer. Nice.
I worked really hard on this project.
Let's do a little in between here, and I think this will probably be the last drawing I do before I stop the video. Before it gets too long. I've been doing progress on the title thumbnail for the video, which is really nice. I'm pleased with that. In the evening, sometimes I feel like just drawing and not animating. So then I open the Photoshop dock and just keep working over the thumbnail. So pretty straightforward in between here. I am going to do a bit of overlap on this extremity, because instead of just going straight down, it'll look nice if it, I'll show you now. If he does this kind of thing. See what's going on there? I don't know what you call it. Richard Williams might have called it breaking the X's in his book, The Animator Survival Guide, which is a really good book. Is it the Animator Survival Kit or Guide? Animator Survival Guide, I think. Let's put that on 4 frames, maybe 3.
Hard on this project.
Maybe 2.
Hard on this project.
Nah. 4.
Really hard on this project, and because
Okay, so I'm just going to play back what we've been doing so far. Let's have a look.
I worked really hard on this project, and because...
That's it. Thank you for watching. Onwards we go. I'll finish the short sooner or later, and stay tuned for the next one. Bye-bye.